Hello, hello, everyone. It is time. It is Wednesday, and it is time for Tier 2 racing around Brazil. It's the penultimate round for Season 4 Misfits Racing League action, and joining me for all of it, as always, Unicorn, how you doing?
Yes, Jeff, thank you. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. Brazil, what a track it is. Just a fast lap, a brilliant track. Just so exciting. I can't wait to see what Tier 2 have got for us tonight. We had a pretty interesting race yesterday in Tier 3. And obviously the Americas as well. But here, Tier 2 championship pretty much wrapped up. And we should see that one decided by the end of this. But there's always that slim chance. But yeah, very much looking forward to this one.
Always exciting action from Tier 2, and we saw some amazing racing in Tier 3 as well as the Americas divisions yesterday to kick off the week. And so this will be our third race of the week around Brazil already, fourth if you include the Tier 2 Americas division. And of course, as said earlier, the penultimate round, we're here in Brazil, round 21 out of 22 next week. We're heading to Abu Dhabi already for the finale of this great season. And massive shout out to our great partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the giveaway, of course, that's running right now. We've got a great giveaway running with our partners, exclamation giveaway in the chat, and you can get yourself entered in to win a Next Level Racing F-GT light racing cockpit. Excellent stuff from them, and just a great season all around through all these circuits we see on this calendar. But with that said, Unicorn, it's time to take a look at the standings, and there is a very tight championship battle flowing right now as Scars here has a very, very narrow set of conditions that can set himself to get maybe a shot at this championship. Now, why don't you talk us through it once we get into qualifying, of course, but it is Azir, Scars, and Crampy, the top three. Alfa Romeo, Williams, Red Bull, the three for the constructors. And I am very excited looking at the middle of this field as well. We've had a lot of drivers come into this grid, take over some seats. We've had a couple of shuffles around, and we have some very, very tight fighting in and around the points. You can see there, of course, Swifty, Tuptus, Eruption, Pavel, Jean, down through Husam, Max O'Connor, even Henners can maybe bring himself into that. It's going to be a very fun race. I think given the races we've seen already, everyone wants to see a little bit of a weather dynamic. You can see Henners in the chat. He's driving today, and he'd like to see it. But, of course, with that said, we're just about ready to go racing here for 18 minutes of qualifying. It's a 50% distance campaign, and that roll of the dice for the weather coming very, very shortly here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's possible to rain here in Brazil. It's, not unheard of in Interlagos. So we'll see whether it happens. Like you say, Henna's wishing for some racing in chat. And a lot of the time you get that from drivers. If you've practiced a little bit of wet weather on tracks, where you might expect it to be quite likely. Like we say every time, most people practice just solely in the dry. Very little time goes to practice wet weather conditions on specific tracks. And if you have practiced it, well, if it does rain, you get a pretty big advantage, especially if you've got a setup as well for that. But we do have everyone in the lobby, which means that we can get everyone readied up and raring to go. And of course, we'll start with 18 minutes of qualifying. And it's an interesting one. Mediums here, starting on them, can be very, very powerful.
Saw a variety of different strategies yesterday given the safety car situation that was presented in the Tier 3 action. The Americas Tier 1 division was also quite intense. And now we're coming into Tier 2 circuit that has provided us intensity all season long. And it's been a great setup realistically for the Tier 1 action that will be coming tomorrow. And of course, this week we'll have the APAC division as well as Formula 2 racing around Brazil before we head off to the finale, the final round of the season on the F1 2020 release in Abu Dhabi. Now, the countdown has begun, and we are just about ready to go racing here, and you can hear that countdown now ticking down through. As we get in, I am very, very excited to see all 20 of these drivers go toe-to-toe.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have that, very pretty much wrapped up thing. Like you said, we have, Scars, after last week, he had a little unfortunate connection issue that really cut his chances down to a minimum where we could have seen him potentially, fight back to claim a victory. And it's a little bit cloudy here in Brazil. I wonder whether And as this little rain dance in the chat might have broken something up in the clouds, because there are a lot of them here above Brazil. Hopefully we can get a weather report in just a moment. But we do have 20 drivers, 15 full-time, 5 reserves, including a reserve that's pretty much reserving for a reserve. Very late minute change there, but we'll go through that in just a moment.
Countdown has begun.
But we've got Max O'Connor on the grid, of course. Mark under Elite again. Toptus Azir. And then we have Scars. And we've said he's got that championship fight tonight. Larsen, Angel, Relax. He's reserving for the Ferrari. We've got Eruption. We've got Ben. We've got Rackety. We've got XTXP. Shiri reserving in the Haas. Matt reserving in the Alfa Romeo. And we have Pavel, Hennes, Jean, Swifty, and Wavy. He hopped in last minute. We were going to have Yar Santiago in here, but this game not playing ball. So Wavy stepping in very, very late minute there. But apparently it is a dry race.
That's good for Imagine. A lot of the drivers, apparently we're going to get a little bit of rain in qualifying here at the end. So these drivers wanting to get out, get those times in as best they can. We have a variety of drivers now headed out. First driver out of the pit lane here is going to be SMM Ben in the McLaren. He'll make his way up the hill on his out lap, and he'll be the first driver on circuit here to give us an idea of what the times will be.
And you can already see there are a couple of people toying with the mediums, and it's an interesting strat to do that early. If you're going to do it, you probably want to do it a little later in the session to see where your pace lands. Usually, you know, you'd hop on a soft lap first, just get yourself warmed up, and then push for a medium lap under the 10-minute mark, because there's a pretty dramatic overtake from Angel around the outside of us. I believe that was Tuptus in the racing point.
Here comes Ben now beginning his lap. Coming down into turn 1. Big lock up on the front left. Coming through turn 2, now 3. The Senna S. Rear wing, wide open. Flying down through into turn 4 now. He has some traffic ahead of him. The Haas of John. This will be his full-time debut in the McLaren, if I am not mistaken. And of course, he has done some racing in the MRL seasons past and this season as well in a reserve capacity. And we'll see what he's able to do now that he's got that full-time slot for the remaining 2 drives of the season. Could be a very good way to get himself a solid full-time drive in season 5 as we come through into the signups very, very soon.
Yeah, great race to get some, experience under your belt reserving, and he has been reserving a lot now, of course, in that full-time seat. That McLaren, it's been pretty hot property here in Tier 2. Now, we'll see what he could do here in qualifying. He's going to open up qualifying for us, and his full-time debut is a 106.8. His first official time on the leaderboard, instantly beaten by Pavel on 106.6, but it's good enough to hold off Mark at 107 flat from the Alpha Tauri. There goes Tuptus to the top at 106.5. Then Eruption at 106.5 as well, just half a tenth faster.
A lot of drivers coming through here. XTXP on the mediums sets a time into 8th, the 108.1. Cheery also on the mediums, and then we see Scars come through into the front row. And that is very important for him. His rival this evening is Zier. No time yet from him, just on the board, but Henners comes through at 107.005. Mammal comes through P6. It's a 106.9 from him. Where is Azir on this grid? He's coming now. Championship leader now to the line. It's good for 4th. He's behind Scars, but Scars in such a unique and tight position. All Azir needs is just a few points, and it's his. Otherwise, well, we'll be headed to Abu Dhabi. But I do believe Scars needs the win in any case. And the fastest lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Angel just picked up a 5-place grid penalty for a collision. Looks like he's still going for the lap, so I'm not quite sure how that one's occurred. But the Red Bull, that's going to hurt him. But like you're saying, we do have a few conditions here for Scars. He's 50 points behind, exactly the same situation we've got over in tier 1, and they're pretty much on identical points as well. Scars on 223, I think Ace Richie on 228, both 50 points behind the championship leader. And given that there's 25 points on the table for a race win, they both need to win both rounds here, and obviously to get ahead as well, you need at least one fastest lap in there to get ahead. And obviously as well, Azir needs to score very, very few points, as it's already raining here. It's raining in qualifying, and that might mean that, well, it's pretty much done for you. For the likes of, Eruption and Scars, this is brilliant news. For the likes of, Rackety, Jean, who haven't got times, this is
the times on this board are going to stand now. Anybody that has a time on the board will stand. We're not going to see anything move, I don't believe. Angel on his way in. Now, as it stands, we're going to be looking at Eruption, Scars, and Tuptus as the top 3 here. Azir in 4th position. There will most definitely be no improvements from this grid, given the fact that this rain has begun. Eruption is on his way out of the pit lane right now.
Yeah, I guess just getting a bit more warmed up for the race. No other reason to get out on track now. Like you say, the ability to improve here, pretty much impossible. Also, I want to bring your attention, Striff. Look at the gap from 9th to 11th there. You got Henderson on 107.005, Mark on a 1.7.006, and then Larson, his teammate, half a tenth off him. There are some very, very tight battles here. You've got 3 guys in the 106.6s ahead of them, 3 guys in the 106.5s. This is a very, very tight grid in terms of the banker laps, and the banker laps, well, they will probably be the laps that we see as their final end product.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Massive shout out to Crampy with the Prime subscription. Thank you so much for the 7 months of support here on the Misfits Twitch channel. And of course, sorry to not see you driving today. I hope you feel better. Of course, Crampy absent in his normal Alfa Romeo, being filled in by Matt. And we hope to see you for the finale in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, fingers crossed, Crampy. Feels better quickly, but he's got Matt there, his teammate from the APAC division, reserving in the hopes of getting points in his car. So it's still possible that that second Alfa Romeo picks up points. Obviously, Scars still clinging for a hope of a championship win here. He's actually pushing on a flyer as well, but with the rain, you can't expect too much here in terms of improvements. So I can't imagine that anyone will be finding anything.
Rackety able to get himself just enough ahead of Matt here for 14th position despite the wet conditions.
If Scars rounds out this lap, we can see what sort of time loss we've got. And he won't. He is straight into the pit lane. And judging by the time, it would have been at least 3 seconds slower, if not more. And people are retiring in the pit lane. We'll see if more drivers follow suit there. And that's starting to call it.
There you go, John now. P12 on a damp run, we'll say. Very nice run.
Yeah, and obviously if everyone does retire in the pit lane, we will get into the race, a few minutes early. So we'll see whether the drivers, they do that, or whether some of them want to go for some wet weather running. But you can see now the retirement's coming in thick and fast, so most of them in agreement. They just want to get this qualifying session over. It is pointless to continue, they think. And as such, there will be... See Angel struggling big time in that Red Bull. He's already invalidated lap, just trying to get back to the pit lane now, and he's having a difficult time. There's only 3 cars out on track right now, and there he comes into the pit lane. So looks like qualifying might be done in 10 minutes, which is pretty unusual, but when the rain comes down late in the session, there's nothing anyone could do about it.
Very bizarre qualifying, to say the least. A couple of drivers just on the move right now. Only 6 active drivers remaining on the time. 5 active drivers remaining on the timing tower. Jean, Relax, Max O'Connor, XTXP, and Angel. Relax presently on track. The other 4 remaining drivers in the pit lane. I do believe we'll see Relax on his way in here. Yep, now we are down to 4. See if we get a retirement out of Max, and I imagine Relax won't be far behind with the other 2 drivers, and we'll be ready to go racing here in Brazil momentarily. There goes Relax, and now we're just waiting on John and Angel.
Yeah, absolutely. We won't be seeing any, I don't think we'll see another active flyer. There goes John. The qualifying now resting solely on Angel's shoulders, but I do believe we are expecting a dry race. We've obviously had qualifying here cut short by the rain, but that's not the case in the race.
There we have
it.
There
the
it retirement. Is. Well, a very short qualifying, all things said and considered here, George, as the rain started to come down and prevented a lot of these drivers from any further improvements. Things began on the dries, and this is how they landed on the dries. Eruption on pole position. Scars will line up on the front row next to him, and he needs to get into lead of things, and he needs to pull a gap away from the man in 4th. But it's Tuptus in 3rd position in the racing point, and this grid is very tight despite only having bankers set here in the runs. We're going to go down through the rest of this grid, of course, on the formation lap.
Yeah, given the unusual nature of that, I'm surprised how close it was out there in terms of times. Sometimes you might expect a few people to sort of slow their first run down so that they could beat it on mediums, but doesn't seem to have been the case here in Brazil. Most people still setting, relatively competitive times with one another. Obviously, we would have seen pole be a little bit quicker if we'd have had the last few minutes in the session with no rain, but it's not the case. Qualifying, probably the shortest qualifying we've ever had here in MRL, with the exception of the one-shot qualifying that a few other, like the F2 has. But in terms of a short 18-minute qualifying, that was definitely surely it has to be the fastest one we've ever done.
I think you're going to be bang on with that. I don't think we've ever had a qualifying go through that quickly. So now, obviously, a little bit earlier for the race start here than normal. However, that's okay. The driver is ready to go. Setups now getting dialed in. Of course, we have had a forecast for a dry campaign here in Brazil. And now, as we've had all of those drivers come through in the qualifying on the dries, we're going to get a look at tire differential on the strategy, even though we saw rain at the end. Why don't you take us through the tires here, Unicorn?
Yeah, well, obviously, the top 10 on the softs, we've got Eruptions, Scars, Tuptus, Azir. So both championship leaders in the top 4, and Wavy already disqualified from the formation lap down in 17th. But we've got Pavel in 5th, Swifty in 6th, Ben in his debut starting 7th, or full-time debut, I should say. Nice qualifying from him. Mammal in 8th, separates the 2 McLarens. It's Henna's in 9th, then Mark there in 10th. In the lead, AlphaTauri behind him. His teammate Larson starts on the mediums ahead of Sean, also on the yellow walled compound tire. Then we have Relax in 13th. He's starting on the soft, so he wants to get a couple of positions there, try and beat Jean and Larson down in the first couple of laps, get a bit of a pace advantage, try and catch the top 10. Then we have Max O'Connor and Matt in 14th and 15th, both on the mediums. Rackety starts 16th on the hards, the only driver to have chosen that compound tire. Then we have Wavy in 17th. He's in the Williams.
Rackety, as you said, he's the only driver to start on the hards. He's also the only driver to smoke the wall.
Well, he's got that car background, no damage, of course, on the formation. I'm going to be very thankful about that. He's ahead of Wavy on the medium. Shiri in 18th starts on the sotter. He's looking to make positions early on. The next TXP and Angel, the only other drivers on this grid, they start on the mediums in 19th and 20th on the back row. Eruption taking his grid spot on pole. Scars in P2. Very important race for him here, but the drivers now just getting lined up on the grid here in Brazil.
Eruption Scars top us. The top 3 is Zier, the championship leader there in 4th position here in Brazil. Scars and him having an absolute duel these past few races for points, but it's time to see how things go in the penultimate round. Unicorn, take us away.
Well, here we go. We've got the lights. Obviously, there's a little bit of desync there. We hate to see it, but it's lights out and away we go here in Brazil. Scars, not a bad sign. Toptus. Where did he come from? Straight through the middle of the front row. As here now, side by side with his championship rival, the Alfa Romeo on the inside. As they come out of the center S is Holton. And behind them, Ben's getting very sideways. He's off. Swifty's gone with him on the outside, coming out of the first few corners. They are down quite substantially. Toptus, what a race start from him. He leads as we come through. Henner's, I think he's had an issue. He's very wide. He's got a lot of cars on his inside here. He's dropping like a stone here. And this has not been a great start for a few of these drivers. But as we come through now, and look how many cars we've got wide. It's about 5 cars coming down into turn 8. Hennes just gets ahead of Mark, who gets overtaken by Pavel as well in the Ferrari. The Ferrari, though, now wide. Does that give the AlphaTauri the way back through? No, it doesn't. Max O'Connor and Jean, they exchange, and the AlphaTauri up into 10th place on the mediums there. But my oh my, what a race start. Tuptus up to Mammel and Hennes. They found 3 places, and there's still exchanging going on between Max O'Connor and Angel.
Max
what a race
O'Connor
start he's had.
Went really wide coming into that left-hander. Angel taking advantage. He gets Jean as well on the inside here. Very nice move. Henners is making some solid advances in this grid. Pavel, however, has something to say about it. The Ferrari on the inside. It's going to switch back to the inside for Henners, and he's going to hold it for now, but around the outside of turn 3. Pavel, the Ferrari here, coming out of the Senna S, is going to push the McLaren. There's a yellow coming in sector 3. It's a retirement in the pit lane. Henners has dropped not 1 but 2 positions. Mark's there too. Relax is having a look in the other Ferrari.
Yeah, what a race start we have just witnessed, and you know, the action far from over. There is a massive train right now in this grid. Angel having a little look up the inside of Larson. Does he get into the points? He does. The man who started on the back row all the way down in 20th place just squeezes ahead of the AlphaTauri of Larson there. There's a yellow flag. I think that's just Chiri coming out of the pit lane. But my oh my, Angel, what a race start. 10 places gain. He is into the points now.
Oh, that is very frustrating.
On those mediums, we'll see what he does.
I imagine for Swifty, he got caught behind that AI on exit of pit lane. Larson right now, here we go, Angel, wheel to wheel, coming around the hill. Things are tight. Larson wanting to hold on to 10th position. Angel took him a moment ago. Henner's just ahead. Oh, it's going to be a lot of overtaking action here. Angel Larson inside for the Red Bull versus the AlphaTauri. It's the sister cars fighting right now, and a lot of hard racing here. Larson gets locked up in the wheels. Jean's here on the rear, but let's take a look at Henner's breezing by Mark. Switching back now. Jean has the front row to Angel and Larson into turn 4.
Oh, there's having a big spin behind Wavy into the wall, and a couple cars had to take some evasive action there. That puts Ben and XTXP's around as well. Coming down
what a
into
slide.
turn 6. Manages to get it off the racing line, but very unfortunate for a few of the drivers there.
Jean on the hunt.
Just forced side by side.
Jean has been watching this battle between Angel and Larson unfold, biding his time to take an opportunity here. Meanwhile, Mark has dropped a couple of positions from where he landed himself with Henners earlier. He's made up a position overall, but he wants to get back in front of that Ferrari. Relax took him a few moments ago. Ben now in the McLaren. We saw him struggle. He was 7th when he began this race, if memory serves correctly. He's in 15th on his starting, his starting softs, and he really wants to make position back up through these harder compound runners because these softs are going to degrade quickly.
Yeah, the softs very, very quick tire here, and you can see that in how the softs are allowing people to pull away. Now that those opening lap dramas have sort of separated, you've got the top 4 who have run away because they weren't involved in the opening sort of exchanges. And then you've got the rest of the soft runners from 5th down through to 9th. There's Ben having a little look around the outside of bracket. He doesn't find anything though, but there's the softs versus the hards here for 14th. But then you've got them, they put 1.7 seconds between them and Angel, who's just carved his way through these grid on the mediums. But the mediums, it's the long game. Starting on those, we'll see what sort of strategy they go for in terms of, you know, The 2-stop around here, a pretty strong strategy, as well as obviously 1-stop still possible. But safety cars play a huge role in what sort of strategies we do see come out to play here as we come down the start-finish straight. We're on lap 5 of 36, and there's plenty of time still to go, but we have seen huge droves of action here in the opening portion of this race.
We've seen a lot of intensity already here, and we still have that battle up front, Scars within it, and the key thing to note here is that Scars has been able to hold himself with Eruption and Tough Dust very well. Azir has not been able to hold himself to the South African driver. Meanwhile, he is in the points, and as long as he holds points, he is in the championship seat.
Yeah, absolutely. He will be very, very happy. He just needs to control that 4th place. And he's not pushing at all in that Williams. He is on his own. He's letting the front 3 go. And I imagine he would love to be on that podium. So just reserving a bit here as he comes through, you know, keep the softs alive for as long as they will last and just bring home points. That's all he needs to do. Bring home a nice haul of points. If he finishes 8th or higher, he wins the championship there and then. If he finishes 9th with fastest lap, he wins the championship. And, well, if Scars doesn't win, which right now he is not in 1st, he's still on for it. But if he doesn't win, well, then Azir steps away champion regardless. So right now, looking very likely that we see the Tier 2 championship wrapped up here in Brazil, but 30 laps still to go. Anything can happen. In league racing, we've seen just about everything. But that's it. Oh, it's Eruption. There's a big snap there in front of the Alfa Romeo. Gets it sorted out, but might be a little knock to the confidence there and gives Tuptus a bit of a room to breathe behind him in the racing point.
A little bit of separation forming in the rear of the field at the moment. You can see some of those intervals dipping over 1 second on the gaps, and now we have DRS coming for Scars here in this train. But Eruption holding a little bit tighter to Tuptus right now, maybe pushing to just close up and keep Scars further at bay, but that gap to Azir is extending. Pavel makes a lunge up on Mammal here. He gets 5th up the inside through turn 1 and 2, and now Mammal will want to try and get that back. I imagine Henners isn't too far behind. Of course, this fighting between the pair of these drivers is going to cost them overall, to the driver in 4th being Azir.
And Eruption right now having a very, very nice race. Sitting in P2 there is, you know, first ever pole, and he's never been on the front row. He's never been on the second row either. His best qualifying 5th. He got it in Italy, in the wet, and Singapore as well. But never on the front 2 rows. Now he qualified pole as a result of that slightly, you know, unorthodox qualifying. And he's sticking with these front few here. He is having an excellent race. Brazil pace definitely there for the Mercedes. DRS once more on the racing point down towards turn 1.
Mammal.
Neither really using the battery. Can he get it down in someone? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it was tight between Tuptus, Eruption there, Mammal, Henners. Now, they were also quite tight. I think Henners compromised his exit a little bit, maybe a little bit anxious on the throttle. He didn't get to do what he wanted with this racing point. He's pushing now, though. He's got the DRS. He utilized that battery on exit. Mammal also pushing. Mammal just in front of Henners. Does he look to the inside of Pavel? No. Pavel without the DRS. Mammal's able to defend quite well with Henners. Henners wanting to find some time through Sector 2 where it's not a role play for the DRS. And here comes Matt Rackety, wheel-to-wheel coming at it, turn 4, and that is the Alfa Romeo pushing ahead of the hard runner. Rackety on the inside, looking to hold it tight back through. He uses a little bit of that curbing, but Matt, 15th for him.
Yeah, like you say, no DRS or anything to help you overtake through Sector 2, and that's sort of... It hurts, you know, following a driver and then losing that time through Sector 2. You have to push again as you come down and start finish straight. Henners here pushing quite a bit to stay with Mammal. Mammal really controlling the ERS situation here. Pavel ahead, having to use it to stay in 5th place. Mammal, he's just sitting comfortably with DRS, and Henners is having to push to stay with them here. So we'll see how the McLaren goes, but slightly lacking a little bit of pace here compared to the Racing Point. It would seem he is pushing
Top
now.
Tuss,
Top Tuss
Eruption.
in Eruption.
Oh, Eruption
They've
gets it through
exchanged.
into lead of things. Top Tuss pushing on the exit. He had the fronts to rears, but it's not enough at the moment. And here comes Scars up the inside as we come through. Turn 6. Scars, the South African. What a beautiful opportunity taken there. That is what you need to be doing to get that separation and get that race win. He doesn't care what happens in this race. He's talked about it many times.
Crashed.
Oh, no.
Wavy off. There is damage on the right-hand side of that front wing. I don't know how bad. It could be worse than just an end plate. It is. He's missing quite a few of the front foils there, but he will not be happy. No safety car, no VSC. But yeah, back to sort of leader things. Great battle there, but that opportunistic move by Scars lost him a bit of time to Eruption. He's kept himself within DRS, and he should be able to stick with the race leader, who was the pole sitter as well. And the front two, they're back there. And Top Tuss had that amazing race start, loses it both positions in one fell swoop though. As overtaken in these DRS trains, Henner's almost out of battery here, Striff. He's 5%, 3%. He is giving it everything he's got, and he's not getting the moves. And cars are catching behind. And this track, it's not brilliant in terms of energy regain. So being on, those single digits now, unless we have a safety car, that is going to hurt him a lot in the later stages of this race.
Scar is apparently having technical difficulties, causing him some performance on his end, and this is very unfortunate. As you can see right now, that gap to Eruption has been cost dearly, nearly a second and a half as we come out of the penultimate turn, and Top Tuss is charging down now, and I think we might see an overtake here. Scars, no DRS. You have it for Top Tuss. Not close enough. Does he send it up the inside? No. Nothing doing just yet.
A great patient move there by Top Tuss. He knows that he needs to get back within DRS of Eruption if he wants to win this race. Scars pushed with ERS, which Top Tuss would have known because he had DRS and he wasn't catching the Alfa Romeo. So he's just letting Scars use his resources to catch the Mercedes here as Scars has a big slide coming out of turn 4 into 5. But Top Tuss is playing a very patient game. He's controlling, his ERS, managing that well. Eruption as well. He's managing the ERS, that battery very, very well, and using the deployment sparingly. And that's what you've got to do here around Brazil. And I've been talking about Hennes and his low battery. He's been on the rear of Mammal, and as I say, Hennes picks up a 3-second time penalty there. A little bit too much on the inside of turn 8 as they come now down into 10. But for Hennes, this race has not been going as well, and he might struggle even to get points here as the mediums really start to come into their own. And Angel, well, he might find that those mediums are doing exactly what he needs them to do at this stage of the race. So we're 11 laps in for the leaders. Well, 12, sorry, but 11 laps old.
On the rear of Mammal, nothing doing just yet. It's tight. Angel on the rear of Mark is going to have a little bit of a better opportunity here, I think. And there it goes to the outside. Now there's a yellow in Sector 3. Someone's had an issue. That's the Alfa Romeo of Matt. One thing to talk about here. Oh, Mark holding on right now. And look at that move for Mark. But these mediums showing a lot of life. A ton of life right now. He's going to push. Henner's ahead. Not yet on Mammal. Here comes Angel on the inside of Mark right now. A little bit of a lockup. Very nice.
Relax and Hennes as well. Hennes, he's been pushing for so long to try and get Mammal. Now he's been the one that's been overtaking the Ferrari of Relax. Sneaks into 7th place. The reserve taking away some points here for the Pirates. And well, they'll be very happy he's got that move done. And you can see up ahead his full-time teammate, Pavel, sitting pretty in 5th. Just between them, the racing point of Mammal. But right now, great performance from the Scuderia, despite the fact that it is only one full-time driver. Both cars still very, very competitive here on this grid. And I'll be very happy with that move as Hennes now very vulnerable to Angel, because Angel, he's on the better tires at this stage of the race. Hennes, he's pushed with all the battery. He's literally on 0% here. He has got nothing left in that ERS to push with. Relax is looking for Mammal.
Oh,
we might get the switch back here. If he goes for it, he doesn't. He backs out. That was a very, very sensible move there. Relax could have pushed his nose in on the inside.
Well, he might have an opportunity into turn 4 here if Mammal doesn't push too hard. Angel as well. We'll have a crack at Henner's. Nothing doing for Relax. Nothing doing for Angel yet. He just wasn't close enough. Larsen his teammate for the evening in Mark. Of course, the differential in strategy between the two Alpha Tauris is coming through. Larsen up the inside now as we come through 6. Easy move there. Jean on the rear wanting to push through as well on the soft runner. That door is going to be firmly shut.
Yeah, really great racing we're seeing in this mid-pack. This train, it's been in full swing since the opening stages of the races. And now we're just seeing gaps that are very small. Henna's being overtaken. Not brilliant for him, but it is giving him a bit more ERS to play with now. Obviously, he was lacking quite substantially in that department. He's now burnt it all away, and he really needs this move
There
down
goes Mark.
into turn 1. Pavel and Mark into the pits. 14.
Good call there, I think, to get an undercut attempt in here. We'll see how it plays off for them. There's a good chunk of fighting going on in the midfield where this could pay out for them. Some separation in the rear end. Here comes Relax on Mammal. Not enough battery right now to really put in a serious charge. Henners, of course, we've seen him. Not a lot of battery at his disposal at all in these last few laps.
Yeah, just looking to stay with these guys and just, hope for the best strategy. Like I said, safety car would bring all his battery back, so burning it off right now, not necessarily a huge problem. Tuptus, he's losing out on Scars. He might drop, and now, well, he's had, all this battery to play with all this time. And, well, what do? Eruptions into the pit lane. Scars is staying out again. Tuptus is staying out as well. So those drivers, they're going to take it a couple more laps. The one stop is possible here. The soft, medium, soft, that kind of thing. Here we go, though. Mammal, well, he's dictating the race here. Relax comes in, and Relax goes into the rear of him. And now that is a front wing change to the Ferrari, surely, because he just lost an end plate on his way in. And it is. They are taking that front wing off of that car. Hards to the end for him.
Azir took a 5er on the way into the pit lane here. And that is going to hurt him. In a grid that has already shown us it can be quite tight. We'll see how the traffic is for him. He's come out of the pit lane just on the rear of Rackety, it would seem.
And now look at the mediums as well. It's just, you've got Angel, Larsen, Jean, 3rd through 5th right now on those mediums. Angel, he started P20. He sits 3rd right now in this race. You've got Larsen pushing to stay with him there. He's up 7. Jean's up 7. That reverse strategy is so powerful around here. They will be faster in the tail end of this race. With those softs, Eruption gets past his teammate, Max O'Connor. Nothing too difficult there. Obviously, the two teammates not wanting to make it difficult for one another with the differing strategies. So great teamwork from the Mercedes pit crew, or the crew even. Scars and Tuptus, they're in for their stops. Tuptus and Scars both, well, Scars going for the mediums. I imagine it's the same for the Racing Point. No, the Racing Point's going for the hard. So he's going to the end nice and comfortably. He doesn't want to risk the tire wear. Scars, well, he should be able to get those tires to the end. It's not going to feel brilliant when they get there, but they will go to the end.
Henner's on the hunt right now for Mark. Gars now. He's come out right behind Eruption. A little bit of separation between him and Tuptus, and that's great. Gars in a good position.
Hasn't worked, really. Hasn't really worked. Scars, like you say, in a great position here, right behind. He was leading this race, leading the charge. Pole position for Eruption, of course. And now, able to just sit in DRS, reserve as much of that battery as possible. Max O'Connor here, well, with his tires, he's actually playing rear gunner, not to Eruption, but to Scars here. And, well, it will help his teammate a little bit, but Tuptus is going to get through fairly easily. But Scars, he just needs the race win. Although, he's losing out big time there out of the final corner to Eruption.
Easy move there for Tuptus. Tight to that inside line, and he'll get it easy as you like into turn 1. Mammal now. Here goes Henners. Henners has been looking for this. He took Mark earlier. Now he's got Mammal up the inside. Lock up for Mammal. Mammal, can he get that car rotated for a solid runner and a switchback push out at turn 3? He's going for it. He's got that battery and utilization. He is not going down without a fight here, and boy, look at the speed coming out of that Pink Panther right now.
Yeah, great racing between the two of them. They are just, eating into one another's time. To Rackety and the likes ahead on the same strategy. And Hennis in particular, he hasn't got the ERS to play with here. Mammal just, saying, well, there's no point of overtake. Can I just push with the battery advantage that I have? And, well, he's just showing in an abundance there. He's got about 40% more battery, and that makes him very, very hard for Hennis to pass. Here goes Larson on Angel. Great run for the AlphaTauri on the sister team, the Red Bull on the outside, down into turn one. Nothing you could do there. The DRS is so strong into turn one. Tough to start of the race on the hard. So great level push from him to get that under his belt, but I can't imagine that will stand, given that we will have fresh softs coming out of the pit lane shortly with the medium runners, in particular these front three. They're going to be starting to set some very, very competitive lap times, and they're going to need to. Hennis once more on the rear of Mammal. Has he got the run out of the center S's that he needs? He might just have here as he comes out. ERS in full utilization. DRS around the outside though. Mammal defending that inside line a little bit later on the brakes for the racing point, but Hennis is through. They're still side by side as they come through five, but Hennis is past the McLaren back into the points, and he's fighting hard for this position. They're catching Rackety, but Rackety's on hards that aren't getting any younger, and right now it's difficult here. Difficult for these guys to, really see themselves scoring too many points, because they're fighting so much with one another. They're just costing themselves to the cars ahead, and they're bringing in a lot of cars from behind as well into the fight.
That's right. This train is getting joined up all over, and one thing to note here is when that train comes in, when everything gets hitched up and all these cars are in line, those penalties, those black and white indicators you see on the right of the timing tower is zero. Max O'Connor with an exchange now is zero on the fresher rubber getting through. Max O'Connor really getting loose there.
Oh, it's a massive lunge for the lead of the race, and he's done it.
Yeah, Jean again on the rear of this, just waiting for an opportunity here. But I was going to say those black and white indicators, those black and white flags, per se, representing the penalties, are going to make things very, very interesting once these cars come into the train together. And Azir has 8 seconds.
Struggling there. I think he was too fast into the pit lane, with also a 3 second to boot as well. So, like you say, 8 seconds in general. Max O'Connor's got 6 to his name, but he's on a different strategy. So, you look at Hennis, Mammal, Elite. They've all got penalties too. Hennis only 3 seconds, Mammal 8, Elite 6. So penalties starting to come through. We're over halfway now in the race. So
another move there for the AlphaTauri on Angel, and they're continuing to exchange with Jean on the rear, just holding on to that third position. Eruption is breaking in now.
Here goes Pavel on Mark, and this is going to be a fairly another clear-cut move here. And around the outside into turn one. Nicely done from the Ferrari. Really putting in a pretty strong performance here tonight. Can't really fault him for much in that Ferrari. Both Ferraris doing well.
Solid exit here for Ben Pavel. Gets Mammal. Ben is going to get Mark. No, Mark a lot later on the brakes. However, a lockup. Ben going to squeeze through there. Holding Mark off wide.
You always want to brake as late as possible when you got to move like that, playing out, but at the same time, like you see there, just a little too late, locks up, loses the position anyway, despite the fact that trying to hold it around the outside. This battle for the final points right now, very, very intense. You've got Eruption, he's got the leaders, and that gives him DRS down the straight as the free come in.
Larson and Angel have had an issue here on the way into the pit lane. Angel's retired the car. Larson's driven into the rear of him and taken a penalty.
Very bizarre. Pavel, he's on the move once more. It's Mammal this time around the outside again for the Ferrari. And nicely done. He has got that move down to a T. You'll have to see it when a driver's got a pretty tricky move, just nailed down. But so unfortunate to see Angel call it there. And Pavel! I don't know if there was contact between him and the racing point of Mammal there, but slides into the wall. Looks like he got hooked there, and he's lost a huge portion of that front wing. This is going to cost him here.
Look at Larson absolutely flying through here. He's driven into the rear of Pavel.
What is going on there? Both drivers now. Jean He's going to take full advantage of this. There goes the racing point of Mammal. And Lars is completely off the track there.
What on
a lot
earth?
Of damage. That is bizarre what we've just witnessed there. You know, Lars is trying around the outside. Relax. Just... Well, no, sorry, Pavel even. Loads of damage on that car. Swung wide. Nothing he can do, really. And like you say, Lars is just into the rear of him there. Very, very unfortunate. The Ferrari will, of course, be back into the pit lane. Mammal as well. Just after they've, you know, pitted as well. 5 laps prior.
Yeah, that's tough. Larson with a retirement. I imagine some frustration between the pair of those drivers. Not entirely sure what unfolded here, but I'll tell you something. Rackety, Henners, very tight, coming into turn 6. On the outside for Henners. Rackety has been there's been a little bit of contact, and he's been tapped around. Oh, Ben just narrowly navigating around that Renault on the rejoin. Mark now has caught him up on the very fresh mediums, and of course Rackety on his starting hards is going to be starting to feel them without a doubt. And you can see these drivers making major gains, and Jean will be one of the drivers that wants to make the most gains in this field, considering he's on fresh softs, seemingly to the end of this campaign, and he has quite a couple of drivers to overtake in front of him. Mark, Rackety, Jean with the front row seat. Mark, very tight to the rear on the outside of Rackety. Rackety's on his way into the pit lane. Jean is unleashed as well. A little bit of a dance there coming out of the front end of that Haas as he looks to go a little bit later on the brakes. Lock up there. He has to get on the brakes again as he tries to glide it through on the rear. That's compromised him massively coming through turn 3.
Yeah, doesn't want to cost himself too much time here, but right now he just needs to keep himself in the points. He is doing a great job so far. That incident there with Unhal, etc., has really just thrust him into the points a bit earlier, maybe a bit higher as well. Without contention, Matt scores fastest lap there on his fresh set of softs, so he'll be happy with that one. But at the same time, doesn't want to take that opportunity away from Scars. Obviously, Scars unlikely to score it now, but he needs it. But here we are, Jean on the rear of these guys on the fresh softs. 6 seconds, almost 7 ahead of Max O'Connor. He's got a great opportunity here. Scars on the rear of Eruption as well. He get a great run here. He's got a lot more ERS to play with too.
Mammal.
And if he can get past...
Sorry to interrupt. Mammal, Swifty having a major exchange. Mammal gets it into 14th position. Here comes Jean now on the inside of Mark. What action.
Absolutely. A lot going on track right now. Scars, well, he needs to get thrust, says Jeff. He needs to go past Eruption, and then he needs to use that ERS advantage to try and break the 1 second window as quickly as possible, because if he doesn't, then obviously Eruption is going to do what Scars has been doing to him for the past few laps, and just sitting behind him, using the DRS to just harvest up battery. And right now, it's working greatly for the South African, but the problem he has is that his ear is in P4, and it doesn't look like he won't be scoring points here. Obviously, he does have a few penalties to his name, but he's got a 6.5 second gap behind the Henners, who's also got a penalty. So chances are, championship still looking like it's going to be wrapped up.
Well, we'll find out soon enough, as we are now 2/3 through this race, crossing into lap 25 out of 36 here. Eruption in lead of things. Scars, P2, Teptus is your last of the top 3. And now, of course, John still hunting down some positions here on these soft compound tires. We can see him charging down with that DRS. He's got Ben in front of him. There's a major tire differential. We'll see if he's able to secure that 6th position. No penalties between them.
And keeping yourself penalty free, and this is Ben. Well, there's 3 seconds time of him. He becomes another driver in the top 10. And speaking of drivers in the top 10, well, there's Jean going past. We're just speaking about picking up a penalty. Up into P6 now for Jean, and he could be off for a great finish. There is Matt off again for the 2nd time in the grass on the inside of 13. And he's getting himself back on the track now. There's no one coming through. But that is unfortunate for Matt. He has not had a great evening here. He is really struggling in that Alfa Romeo. He does have fastest lap, or at least he did. I think he still has it. But the points not going to happen for the team, it would appear. Lighter crampy, obviously ill, couldn't attend this week. Alfa Romeo bringing one of their drivers from the other divisions in the form of Matt, and That means he can score points to the Constructors' Championship, but that won't be the case here this evening, unless, of course, something very, very dramatic happens. Scars, while he's been using a bit of his ERS in the other Alfa Romeo, yet to find a way past Eruption. 10 laps to go. And well, he wants a win, whether it means he can take the championship to Abu Dhabi or not. You know, he can still beat Azir for overall wins in the season.
I want to see Scars. Of course, will have an opportunity should he hold this position onto a podium. We'll be able to talk to him, and we'll see what happens with Azir. There's still, as you said, 10 laps remaining, soon to be 9, as Eruption's coming out of the penultimate turn. And
Scars just not sticking with Eruption enough through that final few points, but here he goes. He's going to look for it on the outside. He's had to use a lot of battery to do it in Eruption. Late on the brakes.
oh,
Holds him off for now.
a little bit of contact there on the exit for Scars. Eruption, a little bit unsettled. Here comes the DRS, and there's not a lot that Eruption's able to do about this. Into turn 4 right now, Henners and John have exchanged into turn 1. John into 5th now, and he's got a back marker ahead of him that will still give him some DRS.
He's got a problem now because Eruption, with the amount of battery he used there, Eruption could just push. Well, Scott's going to let him through.
Ooh.
It's not a bad move. It seems a bit counterproductive, but you can see why he's done that. The detection zone here as they climb the hill, he just comes through it now, and well, that gives him DRS to the Mercedes ahead. And now he's just going to harvest ERS to try and replicate that same move just later on. He needs to wait a little bit. He needs to be more patient, because you saw it there. He had to get the position back because he knows that Eruption would just take him with DRS. So he just needs to be patient, push in the last few laps, and then he can strike. Then he can take the position and hold it to the line. Taking it now, it would give Eruption too much time to harvest the battery, and the fact that he's dropped back here, whether he's got an engineer, I imagine he does here. I think he's being engineered by Domi, if I'm not mistaken. But Domi, we're telling him, you know, patience, stick behind him and stay behind, because otherwise she's going to let him do exactly what we're doing now. So it's a game of, you know, timing it right. And that right there was a very, very mistimed move from the Alfa Romeo garage.
Yeah, a little early there. They now know for certain that they have the power to get by this car. So now I think the move is to get that battery loaded so that once they do, they have a bit of separation that they can push with that battery. The gap around half a second right now between the front row, and we're on lap 29 out of 36 here in the penultimate round of Tier 2 racing. Tier 1 action is coming tomorrow, and I am very much looking forward to that race, as well as we have a giveaway going on right now. If you didn't know, with our great partners Next Level Racing, exclamation giveaway in the chat, and you can head on over to participate in that giveaway for your opportunity at winning a Next Level Racing F-GT Light Cockpit.
Just, you know, like you say, lap 29, late in the race. A lot of, you know, battles have calmed down. 3 drivers out of it, 17 still in it. And as it stands, just a sort of standoff to the end between Eruption and Scars. The closest battle on track, one of the only battles on track in terms of just active fighting. Relax and Pavel were my teammates. Relax, of course, reserving in that Ferrari, but nevertheless doesn't really want to take any chances away from the full-time driver, it would seem. You know, they've been playing ball pretty well this evening, and it's good to see. But Scars right now, he's still there. Much more ERS than Eruption. And I just wonder, you know, how does he time it this time? We saw him have the problem last time. He didn't time it at the right point and took that move too early. See how he goes this time around. He still has to make that move. Neither of them have got penalties.
It's just been a very, very tight duel between these guys since this pit stop came through. Tuss further behind. Azir, 4th position, 9.1 seconds the gap to Tuss. He's got 4.5 on the rear of him, and that's going to be good for him overall, as it's not going to, as he continues to build that gap, he's not going to drop too many positions with the penalties he's holding on to.
Here we go, Scars. He's got DRS. Sorry, down in someone again. Not able to make the move happen, and he doesn't want to. But they need to be careful. Tuss's tires. Tuss has been falling off over the last lap or so. He's on the hards, and he's gone onto those for a reason. He doesn't trust the mediums to go to the end. The soft medium one stop is possible. It can happen, and it's doable. And they should do it. Well, there is a big problem for the Racing Point. 3 seconds of time penalties. And, well, if Jean catches him, I don't see it happening. I don't think it's going to happen now. Jean's tire's probably off, but, 3 seconds means that Tuss, even if he catches Scars and Eruption here, really can't do anything. Can't do it, make a dent in the drivers ahead. Swifty and Mammal, they're getting pretty close together as well. Swifty on the mediums there, Mammal on the softs, but Swifty, very, very well-rounded driver, 4th in the standings, and well, that's not guaranteed for him. That one might go down to Abu Dhabi between Swifty and Tuss here. Tuss still on for a very strong podium, and I'll close the gap quite nicely for him to try and get that P4 in the standings.
I agree. Be very nice. And now Scars, he's got quite a bit of battery still on the rear of Eruption almost nothing in comparison, and this is what Scars has in hand versus the Mercedes. Just a ton of energy deployment at his disposal. We're on the 32nd round now of 36. It started off very intense, very action-packed. Tire strategies and degradation started to play a role, and now we've had some separation in this grid after a few incidents as well. A couple of the drivers fighting hard here, taken out of the equation, given Larsen and Angel. But a good race so far overall, and we've got just a few more laps of running to see how things end up for these front two. Neither of the drivers have a penalty, and just because Scars has more battery at the moment, well, here we go. Look at this charge. He's pushing. He hasn't used too much battery in comparison to Eruption here, and this is going to be a defensive move for Eruption on the inside, back through for Scars. He's going to get lead of this out of the S now. Eruption. DRS and full battery utilization here, down to 3%. Does he go later? No. Scars just shutting that door gently.
Well, Eruption did exactly what he had to there. He forced. It looks like Eruption just burnt off the rest of his battery, which he did. But the reason why is because he had DRS as well, which means that in order to stay ahead, Scars had to use his battery too. Now, this works out in Eruption's favors, because now Scars is the one without the DRS, and as such,
Pavel,
he has to do all
Rackety.
the work.
Ooh, Pavel gets through on Rackety, and I have to say Rackety with a very opportunistic look for his switchback there. Here comes Relax. The other Ferrari wants to get the Renault as well.
Eruption pushing a little bit for the move here. Come down. He's not going to get into turn 1 this time around. Lap 34th. 3 more to go, including this one. Scars is treading a thin line. He's got good pace. Still on for him here. But has he done it maybe a lap early? We'll see what happens here. He used a lot of that battery, keeping Eruption behind. He's gaining a little bit back now on the Mercedes. Scars, he's a 4-time winner here in Tier 2 this season. Eruption, he's only stood on the podium once. And I'm sure he would be hungry to step up onto that top spot. Last time out, it was a P2 in what I believe was Singapore. he matched his best ever qualifying up until today, where he qualified pole. He wants this win. He can make it happen. It's just a case of, does he time it right? He is losing out to ERS to Scars, but he's close on the penultimate lap. Scars P1, Eruption P2. Scars' tires 1 lap younger as well. That might be playing a little bit of a role here. Tuptus catching a little bit, but he won't be a problem for the front two here.
Both Ferraris now slowly edging away from Rackety here. Some penalties coming through. XTXP took a penalty for speeding into the pit lane.
If we might see a drag race to the line at the straight between Scars and Eruption. It's going to be very, very exciting here.
Yeah, well, they both have very, very even battery at the moment. Tires are near similar in degradation. The pace obviously has been locked tight between the pair of them the entirety of this race. We've been watching them all campaign long, and now we're on the penultimate lap of this race, and this is where things are going to really start to ramp up. Scars and lead of things in the Alfa Romeo, Eruption chasing him down.
Scars pushed a lot there. As there's a crash, it's Matt once more, but all eyes are focused on the front battle. Here goes Scars. He's pushing, both fuel lights flashing.
He just took 3 seconds. He just had a snap. He just took 3 seconds coming out on the left side. I don't know how he's done this, but Eruption, he's got no penalties, and that has just shot this fight to the line straight in the foot.
The last lap of battle, Scars was doing everything he needed to do there, and it all comes crumbling down. One mistake, and it's game over for Scars. Not just the race win, but the championship as well slips through his fingers here. It looked like it was all over last week. This week just seals the deal for the South African. A bad run of luck at multiple points in this season, but this one's gonna sting the worst, because he's gonna cross the line in first place. He is not gonna finish first though. Eruption, for the first time this season, the Mercedes wins here in Brazil ahead of Scars on the penalties. Tuptus comes home in P3 on the podium for his 4th time, and Azir, well, he's going to be very happy with this one. It's not a podium, but it is a championship for the Williams, who crosses the line in 4th place and will lose out to Jean in for 5th.
Well, what a race.
My goodness.
And a very, very intense final lap. Some controversies there saying Scars may have taken a triple warning. So that will be investigated. But of course, regardless, I think, of this outcome, we are looking at the new Tier 2 MRL champion. It is the Spanish driver, the Williams driver. It is Azir in this beautiful white car. And, well, it was just a wild race.
Yeah, definitely looking at the penalties there and the incidents in the game. It does look like Scars kept that clean the entire race, other than that last lap. So we'll see what happens there with the stewards post-race. But, well, what we're looking at right now, Chef, is not Scars on the top step, but instead Eruption. And he'll be very, very happy with this win. His first time on the top step. He's been on the podium once, but there he is, enjoying himself up on the top step. Ahead of his championship rival as well, Tuptus there. They're fighting out for 5th place, and Eruption could still get that, top 5 finish. Tuptus, though, very, very strong driver and has been in the series so far. He's not been here for too long, but he's had some great runs here. But Eruption in first place for now. Scars, well, championship is all over for him, whether he gets P1 or not after the race with that penalty. The warnings. Azir finished P5, and that's all he needed to do to wrap things up here. Tuptus P3, Jean P4 from 12th. Great drive from him with that reverse strategy. Henna's P6, despite the battery problems we thought he was having early on. Still 6th place for him, and finishes 7th in the other McLaren on his debut. So great start for him in the full-time seat. Mark finishes 8th from 10th. Max O'Connor 14th to 9th. And Rackety from 16th to 10th picks up the final point there. The 2 Ferraris, 11th and 12th, with the full-time driver Powell finishing 11th ahead of Relax, the reserve. Mammal finishes 13th ahead of Swifty. Matt, a very, very challenging racer. Him does pick up fastest lap, but he was lapped, had multiple issues spinning out, but still picks up P15, reserving for his teammate Crampy, who was, just ill, and we hope he gets better soon. And Alfa Romeo Wavy, well, he is the first of the non-finishers in 16th. XTXP in 17th. Oh, wait, no, sorry. These are just a lap down. And Larson, Angel, Chiri, your DNFs there. I thought was a very, very dramatic Brazilian Grand Prix drift.
It was a great Grand Prix, and we're going to have interviews in just a few moments, hopefully with all of our podium finishers here. And it was just a thrilling campaign overall, I think, for these championship runners. We had Azir claim it today, I think, and clinch it with 1 round left in the season. Waiting on some interviews at the moment. We're going to be getting, I think, Azir as well, despite him not finishing on the podium tonight. We're going to begin.
Fingers crossed.
We have Tuptus now with us, and Tuptus, congratulations on a very, very solid finish here in Brazil, the penultimate round of Tier 3. How are you feeling about this one?
I feel good. It was a solid race. The strategy was not the best, but yeah, it was good.
1 round left. Abu Dhabi coming up. It's been a very solid season for you since you came into this division. Do you have big expectations looking to the finale?
I like this track. I would like to enter on a podium as well.
Well, that's great to hear. Unicorn, do you have any questions for Tuptus before we head on over to the next interview?
Well, Tuptus, third place, another podium for you. P5 right now in the standings. Eruption closing that gap, though. Are you excited for that battle going into Abu Dhabi? How confident are you on that track that you can keep P5 ahead of Eruption after that win from him?
I'm sure it's gonna be a tight fight in Abu Dhabi.
Well, Tuptus, congratulations on yet another podium. A great run of form from you, and we'll wait to see how you round out the season in Abu Dhabi next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tuptus. And of course, we'll head on now to our next interview. We are going to be talking to Scars. Scars is now joining us for an interview, the South African driver who has been on a very, very solid run this season. It's the runner-up in the championship, I think, after this one, all things said and done. How are you feeling, Scars? I imagine a mix of emotions in this race. Tell us how you're feeling. Tell us how the race went.
So first of all, we're confused that this game gave me 3 warnings for going across a line that I've been doing all race, which is kind of weird. But other than that, pretty good. Basically won the race. That should be removed. It's one of the most stupid things I've seen on this race, getting a penalty for crossing a line that I've been doing all race. But, that's cool. But obviously, lost the championship today. I've had a lot of issues the entire season that has been out of my control, which hasn't been my fault, but congrats to this year. But yeah, it was a good race, good pace again. Going to Abu Dhabi and trying to finish off the season strong.
Any questions for Mr. Scars, Unicorn?
Well, Scars, again, you said it there, just unfortunate, bit of luck, but, going into, another season, of course, this really has proved that you've got, great pace. Just Abu Dhabi, you could equal, Azir's wins. Is that sort of the goal there now? Obviously, well, if that penalty does get removed, you do get it, but would that be a consolation prize if you do get, more wins than Azir over him in the season? Obviously, you can't get to P1 anymore, but there's still sort of goals that you could achieve here.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. There have been a lot of world championships in real life, or world champions in real life that have won more races but didn't win the championship, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah.
Well, appreciate you taking the time to interview Scars, and it was just a great season, I think, overall, looking back, and we'll hope to see you finish out extremely strong in Abu Dhabi, and we'll see how things go with with the post-race verdicts as well in this one. Any messages for the viewers?
I don't know what to say really. I love you guys. That's it, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Scars.
All right, cheers, guys.
All right, now we're with the race winner here in Brazil. It is Eruption, and of course, as always, I'll give the winning duties on over to Unicorn. But for me to you, sir, Eruption, congratulations on a very good drive. Of course, interesting to see what happened there with Scars. We'll have to look at things, but I just want to say, just solid drive today. Very consistent race from you, and a good win here in Brazil, or at the very least, a solid podium, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, thanks, mate. First of all, I don't think it's a win for me because Gas got like in one corner free warning, so I think it's a P2 for me. But yeah, had a good pace all the race over, but yeah.
Well, Eruption, either way, a great race from you, you know. Another podium to add to the tally. It's been, you know, consistent points since you started, you know, in Britain starting strong with a 5th there. Now another podium to your name, potentially a P1, but, you know, like you say, a little bit up in the air right now. But this, after this race, closes in, you know, the last championship. I asked Tuptus, he said it's going to be a close fight between you and him for the, you know, 5th spot in the championship. What are your thoughts going into Abu Dhabi here? Can you secure the points, you know, very marginal right now between the two of you?
Well, to be fair, Abu Dhabi is one of the track I don't like. Yeah, it's a boring track to drive, but yeah, it will be a lot of fun to drive against Subtis.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, exciting to see how you go there. Obviously, potentially your first win, if not still, you know, you could be very proud of that drive. A great race from you in the Mercedes. Striff, any questions, of course, for Eruption here before? I do believe we are going to be moving on to Azir.
I think it was just a great, again, consistent drive. I'm very happy with seeing you here with us in a winning capacity, even though, you know, you think it might go the other way, and it may very well. I just want to say, regardless of the outcome, it was a great drive, deserving of a win no matter what as well. And, you know, Scars, he drove very well also, and I'm just happy to see you guys battle up there. So, great drive.
Thanks, mate.
All right, now that will wrap up interviews with our drivers here, our podium, but we have one last interview to go here, and it is going to be with our now Season 4, Tier 2 driving champion. It is Azir from Spain. Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Very well. I would like to congratulate Scars. He had done a good job throughout the season, and yeah, I'm very happy for the title. P5 today, but it's all that I need. So I'm very happy.
Excellent stuff, Unicorn. Any questions, any comments you'd like to share or ask our champion?
Well, is there that race? You just, you know, like you said, it's all you needed. That P5 over there. You just looked like you were comfortable. You know, obviously, coming into this race, you knew what you had to do. When you're sitting in that position, you were sort of didn't have a car ahead of you for a few seconds. You didn't have a car behind you. When you're just thinking, you know, very much focused, not on the race, but just wrapping up the championship this week.
Yeah, I think it was not a good race for me because P5 it's not my the position that I like to finish. But yeah, I was looking only for the points for the championship, and yeah, it's all that I need, as you said. So I'm happy.
Yeah, well, absolutely, it's been it's absolutely stellar season from you, only finishing outside the points 5 times. When you finished inside the points, no lower than 6th. So it has been just an astonishing season from you. You know, you really haven't put a foot wrong other than a few odd occasions. But Azir, from me to you, congratulations. Any, you know, words for the fans out there in the chat from you? You know, you are the Tier 2 champion, and it's been such a long championship fight between you and Scars. You know, it must be a great relief to sort of get it off your shoulders. You have now secured that.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations, Azir. Any last words for all of the viewers watching, your friends from home? Anything before we sign off for the evening?
Yeah, thanks very much for all the people that support me in the chat and from Spain. Muchas gracias a todos. Quiero.
Thank you, Azir, and we'll see you next week for Abu Dhabi.
Thanks, Triff.
That is going to wrap up, of course, the 21st round of Season 4 Tier 3, or Tier 2, excuse me. Azir claiming the championship today. Scars with a very good drive. Of course, Eruption with the race win. With the penalties coming through, of course, we're going to look at that after. But that's it for us today, Unicorn. We're going to be going through with Tier 2 Abu Dhabi next week. Tier 1, we'll be back, you and I, tomorrow for the action around Brazil once again. Any closing statements before we head off?
Well, tomorrow we're looking at a very similar sort of situation. A title fight separated by 50 points going into the penultimate round. Obviously, Paris, the leading ace into that one. It'll be very exciting to see how it goes. Last week we thought we were going to see it wrapped up. We didn't. And as such, anything can happen here. So if, Paris will probably have a similar mentality to Azir there, just trying to wrap up the championship, free his way of that shoulders. But it's going to be a very, very exciting battle. So make sure you're here tomorrow because it is going to be so, so exciting and I cannot wait for it.
That's right. The finale is going to be amazing. Of course, last message before we sign off with the outro and a raid. We have the giveaway running. If you haven't entered, get entered because it's free to participate. Jump into the chat, exclamation giveaway, and you can enter to win a Next Level Racing F-GT Lite racing cockpit with our great partners, Next Level Racing. That's it for me, Stryfium, and that is it for us. We will see you guys tomorrow in the next one.